Welcome back. My name is Nick, and this is Trans Guy Reacts, where I react to women's college basketball, collegiate or professional. And today I'm going to talk about the WNBA's recent rule change. Big deal. Before I get into that, please, if you are a new or even an old fan and you are interested in women's basketball, this is probably a great channel for you if you care about my opinions. I've been into the game for 20 plus years. I have a lot of opinions, a lot of biased opinions and nuances and context about the game. If you only care about one player or one team, this is not the channel for you. Please go ahead and dislike this right now so I don't come up in your feed anymore. But yeah, otherwise, like, comment, share. I don't read comments. The comment section's off. I don't care what you think. But all right, I would like to talk today about the WNBA rule changes. So the WNBA announced some rule changes for 2024. I'm just going to read the press release because I know people don't like to read. They'd rather listen. So I'm just going to read it. You tell me what you think. So May 2nd, 2024, the WNBA announced changes to the rules regarding the Coaches Challenge and timeout format that will be implemented for the 2024 season. The new rules, which were recommended by the WNBA Competition Committee and approved by the WNBA Board of Governors, are being implemented to improve the flow of the game and provide increased flexibility to coaches looking to use a challenge. So, the Coaches Challenge. Teams will now be awarded a second Coaches Challenge to be used during regulation play or in overtime if their first challenge is successful. Key there. A team must continue to use a team timeout to trigger a challenge, which means a team will not be able to use its first or second challenge unless it still has a team timeout available. In addition, a team may continue to retain the timeout used to initiate its first challenge if that challenge is successful. So that's really big. Just want to say that. The Coaches Challenge was implemented last year. You got one challenge, and then it was one and done. And people were like, "Oh, this doesn't feel right. It feels like you should keep your challenge if you win." So they did decide that, yeah, you can keep your challenge if you do win it and you get another challenge. But you do have to use your timeouts still to get it. So that's still pretty key. So here's some nuances of like why and the specifics of the rule. For the purpose of game flow and length of a game, a team will not retain the timeout used to initiate its second challenge, regardless of whether it is successful. So that's key too. So even if you win the first challenge, you get to keep it, and so you can use your challenge again. The second challenge, you can't. If you win it or not, you can't get another challenge. You only get two challenges. Really one, but possibly two. Key features of the Coaches Challenges rule. A team can use its challenge to trigger an instant replay review of 3 specific events: a foul called on its own team, a foul called called out of bounds violation, or called a goaltending or basket interference violation. So you can only do this on fouls called on its own team, a called out of bounds violation, or a called goaltending or basket interference violation. Those are the only reasons why you can call a challenge. Replay for a called goaltending or basket interference violation will only be triggered by the on-court officials during the last 2 minutes of the fourth period or last 2 minutes of any overtime period. A coach's challenge is the only mechanism to trigger a replay review of an out-of-bounds violation at any point in the game. So that's kind of key, even though there's like some nuances in terms of like even those challenges. To initiate a challenge, a team must immediately call a team timeout, and the head coach will provide the visual signal for a challenge by twirling index finger toward the referee and verbally indicating that the call being challenged. If a team attempts to challenge an event with no remaining timeouts, the team is charged an excessive timeout, for which the penalty is a technical foul, and no challenge will take place. If a team calls a timeout to challenge an event that may not be reviewed, the team will be charged a timeout, but will retain its challenge. Okay. As with other replay reviews, in order to overturn the event as called on the floor, there must be clear and conclusive visual evidence that the original call was incorrect. Each challengeable event will have a unique set of reviewable matters for consideration. One example is that during a review for a called foul, the officials can rule on the matter of continuation. So that's the coach's challenge. That's the update. The first one was used in the preseason by Latricia Trammell. She did not win, so she did not get her second. She didn't get to retain her challenge to get a second one. So it's already been used in the first game. Timeout format. So there's a new setup for the timeout format. Most recently, each team was allotted 4 full team timeouts and 2 20-second timeouts. So 4 full team timeouts and 2 20-second timeouts. Beginning with this 2024 season, the following timeout format will be in place. So this is a new thing. There's no more of the 4 and the 2. So this is the new situation. During regulation play, each team will now be allotted 5 team timeouts plus 1 reset timeout. Each team is limited to 2 team timeouts after the later of the 3-minute mark of the 4th period or the conclusion of the second mandatory timeout of the 4th period. Mandatory timeouts will be 2 minutes and 45 seconds in length, and non-mandatory timeouts will be 1 minute and 15 seconds in length. 20-second timeouts are eliminated. In overtime periods, each team will be allotted. In overtime periods, each team will be allowed 2 team timeouts and 1 reset timeout. So loud. There is no restriction as to when a team must call its team timeouts during any overtime period. So again, just in case, because I just got interrupted by people outside. In overtime periods, each team will be allowed 2 team timeouts and one reset timeout. There is no restriction as to when a team must call its team timeouts during any overtime period. A reset timeout is a stoppage of play requested by a team that allows it to advance the ball and make substitutions, but not huddle. Each team is entitled to 1 reset in the final 2 minutes of the 4th period and 1 in the final 2 minutes of any overtime period. So key features of the reset timeout: to request a reset, the head coach or player must call a timeout and then immediately signal arms across in an X and verbalize reset. If either team huddles or prevents the ball from immediately being put back in play, a delay of game will be issued to that team. A reset may not be used to deal with a stoppage for an injured player or other delay unless a team does not have any team timeouts remaining. If a team requests a reset timeout during live play and a mandatory timeout is due, only the mandatory will be charged and the reset timeout will be returned. If a team requests a reset, there's a kid outside being really loud. If a team requests a reset and has already used, did I miss one? If a team requests a reset timeout during the live play and a mandatory timeout is due, only the mandatory will be charged and the reset timeout will be returned. If a team requests a reset and has already used it, or the game is not in the last 2 minutes of the 4th period or last 2 minutes of an overtime period, the team will be charged with a team timeout. If a team requests a reset and has already used it, or the game is not in the last 2 minutes of the 4th period or last 2 minutes of an overtime period and has no team timeouts remaining, the team will be charged an excessive timeout. The shot clock will remain as it was when play was stopped for the reset. Unused resets will not carry over to the next period. There's a lot in there about the resets. It's super technical, and I'm not going to remember any of that, and I really hope these new refs will remember this, and the coaches will have to remember it. But it's pretty technical in terms of how the resets work. But the timeouts are pretty straightforward. I mean, they get 5 now instead of 4. So there you go. So that is the updates on the new changes with the rules. The coaches challenge has been updated. You get a second coaches challenge if you win the first one, and there are now 5 full team timeouts and 1 reset timeout for the timeout situation. So really exciting, different rules, but I am a little bit worried about how these refs are going to handle this, because from history, from what I've seen from the last 20 plus years of watching this league, the refs have a really hard time with the rule changes. So we will see. They're human. They're going to make mistakes. We'll see how it goes. All right. Thanks for watching this. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment. Oh, no, don't comment. There's no commenting. Like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.